and ready to speak to you all. There's definitely a few people that I want you to listen to. That are good people, good politicians, right? Good politicians that do what they got to do for the people, right? Not every politician does what they have to do for the people, right? But there is some that do the right thing, right? Right? And those are the ones you gotta appreciate and you really gotta take care of, right? Um, you really gotta take care of the ones that do the right thing, right? You gotta the ones that actually do the right thing. You gotta be appreciative of them, and you gotta always, appreciate a politician that doesn't take big money. Appreciate a politician that fights for the people. Um, Appreciate a politician that doesn't sell themselves out, right? Let me fix this StreamYard and then I'm sharing the links. This is a one-man show, right? One-man show. I'm technical support. I'm everything, right? Right? Technical support. I do everything myself, right? And I hope you can hear me better. I didn't realize that maybe the microphone wasn't working appropriately, and not one of you told me that the microphone was not working the right way, right? And today I want to speak about a contradiction that's very prevalent and very, how can I say, happens a lot, right? Where voters themselves have many viewpoints, right? Voters have many viewpoints that so voters have many viewpoints. They support Zohran, but they also support they support Zohran from one angle, right? Then from another angle, they support Trump and his policies, and so they also support AOC. Um, they like some of her policies, but they also support Zohran Mandani. And so Zohran went interviewing people, and this is the contradiction that people gave, right? That they support Zohran, Trump, and AOC, and Bernie Sanders, right? So how could voters support different ideologies and different ways of viewing life and viewing things? Is because we're complicated human beings that have different point of views across the board in our brains, in our bodies. We're not just um, monolithic, like people say, right? So they hear the policies, and if you don't attach a name to it, they support that policy. And so, but as soon as you attach a name to it, like, oh, Soron supports this, Bernie supports this, or Trump supports this, then they say, oh, I don't really support that, right? So it makes you wonder. A lot of people said and say that people contradict each other, right? That people contradict each other, right? They find a way not to um, make themselves look bad, or they just want to stick to their position or stick to their identity or what they identify with, right? So if they always identify themselves as Republican, they don't want their friends and their family to know that they also support Bernie Sanders, right? So they'll keep those point of views um, kind of in the closet, right? Just like there's always been um, people that are LGBTQ, right? Plus A for ages, right? And there's a lot of Republicans that are also, but they don't want people to be associate them with that lifestyle, or they don't want people to associate them with being of that nature or being right. And so they pretty much hide their whole identity. They hide how what they're who they're attracted to, because they don't want to be associated with that identity. And this creates a lot of complicated um, uh, political angles that people uh, are are connected to, right? And so that's just a reality of um, of what the world we live in, right? It's full of contradictions. It's full of nuances. It's full of different point of views that I still respect, right? I still respect people um, that have a different perspective than the perspective that I have, right? I still support those people, even though their point of view is a lot different than what my point of views are. So, everyone, how you doing? Welcome. My name is Celso Garcia, and I'm live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Substack, and Twitch, right? Support the channel. Support the channel however you can and however you choose to support the channel. But the best way you can support the channel is by subscribing to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. That's the most important way to support this channel. Um, and for some reason, I've been taking off on Facebook a lot more views than than YouTube, Twitch, or any other platform for some reason. When it's usually the other way around, I usually have more supporters um, on TikTok, and YouTube always gives me problems, or Facebook always I get the shadow bans, or um, I get the little warnings, or get flagged. So I'm glad to be on all platforms, and I appreciate you all. I had a big disagreement with a few people, right, about the No Kings March, right? Some people say that it's just a protest to show. Um, it's just a stage, right? They're just staging resistance against Trump, but there's no real resistance. They're saying that the No Kings protest is just like a Broadway show, right? It's not real. It doesn't exist. It's not really pushing back against Trump. It's just a short event that doesn't really help anyone. But I think that any type of organizing, any type of way of showing force, and that the media is able to cover opposition against the establishment is something good, right? Anything that shows opposition to the status quo and the way things are running and way things are working is a good thing, right? To me, other people have different point of views and don't agree with what I have to say, right? But I agree that we have to find a balance, but not be scared to speak up and not be afraid to show our perspective publicly, right? Um, the framers of the Constitution knew and understood that the freedom of assembly and the freedom of people being able to come together was a critical part of the First Amendment. That's why they put the First Amendment first and decided that this is a critical component of people's ability to unite together and to speak as a collective, right? If we didn't have the First Amendment um, or freedom of the press, then pretty much it would be a lot harder to resist oppression or resist the powers to be, right? And so I have to side and say, hey, I might not agree with everything the the No Kings rally does, or I wish it was longer. I wish it was a total mass movement where for 1 week or 2 weeks, like in a general strike, like in Minnesota, that they shut down the businesses, shut down everything for a day, and people really felt it. That really put a lot of pressure on the not only the government institutions, but that also put a lot of pressure on the economic engines and the economic powers of our society, right? Um, because the only way people respect uh, protests and everything is when it starts costing them economically. And so I will be speaking about some local politics today. I try not to because some people, I'm not a big proponent of every politician, and I don't really endorse people because a lot of times they always end up disappointing us. But I do support Zoran for the most part. There might be things here and there that I don't support or I don't like, but then there's AOC. I like AOC. I support her. However, there was some local politicians that she supported that I don't support because I feel like a lot of these politicians like take big money, take donations from PACs, or take big corporate lobbyist money, or take meetings with lobbyists. As you know, I've been speaking out um, about the casino that they want to build in Flushing Meadows Corona Park. I've been speaking out about it, um, despite the fact that there's a lot of people that support it among the politicians and among the elites, right? Not necessarily among the regular people, but among the the ruling class among the rich, right? The billionaires that support casinos because they could extrapolate money and wealth from the public, right? They know that they could make money off of these casinos on the backs of regular working people. So it's an easy money making machine. And on top of that, they get write offs, they get tax write offs. Um, and that's the most biggest thing that they love, right? That they could, um, that they get support from the super rich, right? They love getting support from the super rich because they could write it off. One, they could write it off, the casino money. Two, they could issue bonds and get municipal bonds. Three, the casino in Flushing Meadows Park is being built on parkland that could be used to actually build parks or to um, have environmental friendly projects that can help improve the quality of the air in the area that has a high asthma rate, right? And um, three, there was a whole bunch of projects that were proposed, right? And they purposely proposed projects in neighborhoods that are rich and wealthy, and they knew that it wasn't going to be built, right? Like they Times Square, Hudson Yards, um, and many other places. They decided to build these casinos there, supposedly, but that wasn't really their intention. I don't think they were really planning on building the casinos, right? They just put it in there so then they could feel like it was going to be equitable and it was going to be fair, and they weren't picking on the poor, where there was a lot of concentration of poor and minority people, right? So they put that in there so they would never be accused of wanting to go after um, the the poor and marginalized communities. So they just put that in there so they won't look or appear to be trying to destroy the mostly minority and immigrant populations of Flushing and Corona, right? So the problem is that big money has too much influence over our institutions. They have too much control over um, many of the things that happen, right? And so that's why a lot of people supported AOC, a lot of people support Bernie Sanders, and a lot of people supported Donald Trump because they said they were going to drain the swamp, they were going to go after the big money institutions, and they were people that don't like uh, big money people, right? So people sometimes we fall for the Kool-Aid, right? We drink the Kool-Aid and we don't realize that sometimes politicians lie to us and promise us stuff. So let's listen to PBS News. Zohran Mandani, I'm
Your support
uh,
keeps 13
working with oh, I just got clickbait. Okay. So let's keep going.
resilient. And thanks to you, we proudly remain the most trusted media institution for 23 years. You helped 13 sustain the highest ethical and editorial standards.
Tea is brought in at bing, bing, 5 o'clock.
We have to find a way to listen to all the rank.
Okay. So it's just a reality that our political system just sometimes doesn't care about our opinion, right? Sometimes they don't care about our opinion. They just care about whatever we stand for, right? They don't care about what we stand for. They don't care what they stand for. What they care about is um, the things that they feel are are good or bad, right? So let's see. Thank you for joining me, everyone. Hit the share, hit the like, hit the share like button, right? Right. Okay. So let's watch the interview with Zoran, and you can see the um the differences of opinions, but also the similarities between what Zoran promised, what Trump promised, is an economic message of prosperity to all people, right? Even though some of them were mad at him because he endorsed Kathy Hochul at the same time that they were going through this strike, but the strike was settled. They did win their wages, so it wasn't that harmful as people thought it would be. And so I want you to listen steadily because we're also going to listen to Bernie Sanders and we're going to listen to Donald Trump and see how they were able to win. A similar crowd, right? A similar crowd of supporters. Um,
A
oh,
major
sorry.
budget deficit, some $12 billion. Tell me, and you've repeated it actually since then in multiple interviews. I know you
Let's start from the beginning.
Most high profile Muslim leaders in one of the most high pressure political jobs in the country. Zohran Mamdani is less than 3 months into his term as mayor of America's biggest city. He's juggling how to fulfill his ambitious campaign promises, manage a huge budget deficit, and respond to a rise in Islamophobic rhetoric across the country. The young Democratic socialist has also forged a unique relationship with President Trump through Oval Office visits and their shared love of New York City. Here's Amna's exclusive conversation with Mayor Mamdani.
Mr. Mayor, welcome to the News Hour. Thanks for making the time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here.
So let's talk a little bit about your first few months in office. You really had to hit the ground running. You had a lot coming at you, too. You had a major nurses' strike to handle, a record-breaking snowstorm. I know you've probably heard the difference between campaigning in poetry, governing in prose. Does that ring true to you? Have you found that to be true?
I think there's still a little poetry in the day-to-day.
Okay.
I think it's important that we don't let our imagination become constrained by what we are inheriting. And in some ways, we tasked ourselves with trying to keep up with New Yorkers, because in addition to first winter storm in a while, first blizzard in 10 years, nurses strike, where we stood there on the picket line with the nurses as they fought for wages that could afford to have to live in New York City as they worked in New York City. We also just wanted to show New Yorkers that city government could work as fast as they do.
What surprised you most about the role since you've stepped into it?
How you been?
I think the amount that you can do, to be honest with you, it's not to say that this work is easy, but that when you are willing, there is an immense amount of possibility. I mean, on day 8, we joined together with Governor Hochul to announce a $1.2 billion funding of a pathway to universal child care. And that's transformative for
So he got a lot of a lot of people. He got naysayers, right? He got people that don't like him. But share, hit the subscribe button on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and Substack. So he has a lot of naysayers, and he made a lot of promises about affordability and also about draining the swamp. The main thing that Zohran Mamdani promised was to drain the swamp and change the way that working people would be able to live, right? And that's the same promise, same message that Donald Trump ran on the national level. He ran on lowering the gas prices. He ran on lowering the grocery prices. He ran on pretty much making it easier for everyday, in this instance, is everyday Americans to have better lives. And in the case of Zohran Mamdani, he ran on affordability, and in New York, right, at a more local level, at a hyper local level. And so the only difference is that the first thing that Donald Trump did when he took office was that he passed a huge tax cut for the richest Americans. And now he's also broken his promise of not going into new wars. And now he has entered the war in Iran. Even though they want to say it's not a war, we're going on the 5th week of pretty much attacking the country of Iran. And the situation has gotten a lot worse. And we're spending more and more money. And they requested $200 billion on top of the $1 trillion that is the national defense budget, right? So let's keep listening to the interview with Zohran Mamdani. And I hope you can all hear me well. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and I'll go on my way. Right? Thank you. Make sure you can hear it.
for New York City families. And to have the opportunity to be able to act upon the vision that we'd shared with New Yorkers, it's the gift of a lifetime.
You also very early held a press conference in which you shared that you'd inherited a major budget deficit, some $12 billion. Tell me, and you've repeated it actually since then in multiple interviews. I know you want to get that message out. Is that a little bit about expectation setting? Like you might not be able to hit all of the affordability goals that you set out?
We just want to be honest and transparent with New Yorkers. We're talking about a generational fiscal deficit, as you said, inheriting what was $12 billion. And thanks to the work that we've done in terms of savings, in terms of utilizing our reserves, we brought that down to $5.4 billion, also in partnership with the governor's commitment to this city. And now, over these next few weeks and months, our job is to bring that down to zero.
What's the plan to bring it down to zero? You have to raise revenue.
We believe that a structural crisis deserves structural solutions. And that comes from taxing the wealthiest a little bit more, and also ensuring that the relationship between the city and the state isn't as imbalanced as it's been in the past.
Following up on a campaign promise you made, you said you were going to create a Department of Community Safety with $1 billion budget. What you announced this week, I think it's fair to describe as a pared down version. So is this part of this paring down of ambitions because of the budget crisis? How should we look at this?
Our ambitions will never be pared down.
Okay.
This is the beginning of what it looks like to fulfill that promise. It's the start. However, New Yorkers can't afford to wait for an answer to the mental health crisis. They can't afford to wait for a legislative process to play out or for politics to come its course. What this is all about is responding to the crises, whether it's the mental health crisis, the crisis of gun violence, the crisis of hate violence, even gender-based violence in the city.
We got to find a way.
We are finally cohering what were previously disparate offices, putting them within one portfolio of work within city government and starting to respond to them in a manner that actually befits the seriousness of the issue.
So, Mr. Mayor, we are speaking on the last day of Ramadan. And as the first Muslim mayor of New York City, you, I understand, have been fasting this entire time as you are governing in this very demanding environment. Just give me a sense of what your days have been like.
Well, in many ways, the days look as they did before. There's obviously an absence of food and water over the course of them. This may be the first time they're seeing a Muslim in public office during the month of Ramadan and all that comes with it. For me, I am seeing so many Muslims who've been here far longer than I have, who've been doing this work, and they've been doing it no matter what the demand is.
You also chose to break your fast one day out on Rikers Island. Tell me about that. Why?
It was one of the most meaningful evenings I've had as the mayor. And to be on Rikers Island, praying alongside incarcerated New Yorkers, as well as New Yorkers who work on Rikers Island, it was really an occasion to recognize the humanity in others, and also in doing so, recognize more of it in ourselves.
So, I mean, do you think that a lot of people get offended with this, right? The fact that Zohran Mamdani is Muslim and he has a different religion than most people do, a lot of people get upset about this and feel like it's something that he is a contradiction, right? And so there are people that don't believe in any religion, right? There's some people that don't believe in any religion, and then there's people that do believe in whatever they believe in, right? Which is okay because this is a city of diversity. But the attacks on him and anyone that is different than the status quo has been seriously hampered, right? The attacks have been coming full-fledged, full all out, non-stop, right? And this is something that somebody like AOC is familiar with. Donald Trump claimed the same thing, that he was always being attacked, that people were trying to take him down, that the whole swamp was trying to destroy him. And then the same thing with Zohran Mamdani. He broke down in tears because of the Islamophobia and the attacks that he was facing from Cuomo. So, and he met with the billionaire owner of Gristedes and several radio stations. His name is Kat. I'll play the interview later. of him meeting with Zohran this week. They met one on one in the city hall, and it wasn't a public meeting, it was a private meeting where they met together because there's been serious attacks by not only the radio station, but some of the radio hosts, such as Sid Rosenberg and Andrew Cuomo, have been constantly attacking Zoran on the air, um, constantly, right? And so he's been attacked heavily because of his positions. But I don't know if the attacks against Donald Trump, like when people are criticizing him or speaking badly of him, um, I don't know if it's unjustified, right? But they do the same thing to Zohran Mandani, and I don't hear people going full fledged, ready to defend Zoran. They're not ready to defend Zoran at all, right? But they defend Trump, and then some people defend Trump, and some other people defend Zoran. It's kind
It's
of
worth noting,
contradictory.
too, though, in your first few months in office, you've already seen anti Muslim protesters outside your home, not protesting your policies or anything else, protesting your faith outside of the place that you live. You have been the target of attacks by lawmakers calling for you to be denaturalized and deported. Representative Andy Ogles has said Muslims don't belong in American society. Representative Randy Fine said we need more Islamophobia, not less. Representative Andrew Clyde said no more Islamic immigration. I think anyone who grew up post 9/11 knows that anti-Muslim bigotry isn't anything new here. But to you, does it seem like there's something different or something new this time?
I think there's an unabashed nature to it, and it is being echoed from the highest offices in this country. They do so without any sense of shame. And what is remarkable about Islamophobia and anti-Muslim bigotry is not that it is bigoted, for there is so much bigotry in this country. It is that there are very few who speak up in opposition to it, the manner in which it has become normalized. And it is not exclusive to any one political party. It is endemic, frankly, to our politics. And what this kind of bigotry shows is a complete erasure of the million or so Muslims who call the city home, whose identity has often been one that they are made to feel as if is in tension with being a New Yorker. When, as I grew up here, I understood, and so many others did, that there is no tension in those identities. They can be one and the same.
But Mr. Mayor, when they're coming after you.
So I mean, that's just the way people do it, right? They attack everyone. Just like there were Catholics, right? That were heavily attacked in New York City because of their beliefs, right? Especially the German and Irish and different groups, even from Latin America, that were predominantly Catholic. They were attacked and they were made to they were trying to make people ashamed of their beliefs and their belief system, right? That was the whole goal on why they would um, attack people based on their religion, right? And so these are some of the major contradictions that we face in the most diverse city in the face of the earth, right? We speak over 200 languages. We have people that come from all parts of the world.
You, when they are
And
showing your face on TV screens, calling you a jihadist, saying you're the enemy, do you
it's like,
worry about your own safety and security here?
I'm very lucky that I have an incredible team of NYPD officers who keep me safe each and every day.
which
And my fear, frankly,
which people would criticize it um, him having to use even security or to have the NYPD, which he criticized, but they're defending him, right? And it's okay to criticize a department and say, hey, some changes need to be made across the board, and still rely on them for security, right? It's not a big deal.
Frankly, is for those whose names we do not know, whose professions we do not know, who are seen and understood to be Muslim and will be attacked for it. And they will not have the protections that I do.
Among the millions of people, of course, that you represent here in New York is also the largest Jewish population. Any city outside of Israel, over 1 million
There you
people,
go.
many of whom, as you know, did not vote for you. Have you met with the groups that have expressed concern about what
There you go. Always, since he's been running, since he started campaigning, they've always attacked him on the Israel issue. They started with Islamophobia and all this other stuff, and then now all of a sudden they switch over to him meeting with the Israeli groups. And why doesn't he support the government of Israel? And as Zohran has explained over and over and over, he supports the people of Israel. He doesn't support the government of Israel, which is not the same thing, right? Like, I don't support Donald Trump and his administration, but I do support the people in America, even if we have different point of views, right? Same thing, right? Same thing. But they have been grilling him about this constantly.
they say was a rolling back of protections against anti-Semitism. What are those conversations like?
They have been continuing, and it's really been a pleasure to meet with so many Jewish leaders across the city. It was actually not that long ago in this very room that I met with a number of Orthodox leaders across the city, and we discussed anti-Semitism and our commitment to rooting it out across the 5 boroughs. We also discussed childcare and housing and quality of life issues, because those are also the concerns that fill the lives of Jewish New Yorkers across the city. My job is not to be a mayor just for those who voted for me or those who agree with my politics. My job is to be the mayor for everyone who calls the city home and to deliver them a city that they can be proud of.
So, Mr. Mayor, there was a time not too long ago when the president himself was attacking you quite frequently. And him, we should say. He was calling you a lunatic. You had promised to.
Yeah, so they were constantly attacking and speaking up against Zoran, saying all types of stuff against Zoran, making him seem like he was the worst person possible. And even Donald Trump toned it down, right? He toned it down and realized that maybe Zoran Mandani is not as bad as he said he would be or said he was, right?
To be his
He's just a
worst
regular
nightmare if
person.
you were elected. After your meeting with him in the Oval Office in November, all of that changed. Why? What happened in that room?
The president and I have many disagreements. We're not shy about them. We've been public about them. We've been private about them. One thing we have very much in agreement is a love of New York City. And so in that meeting, in the subsequent conversations, and then in the following Oval Office meeting, I have gone back to the president with our hopes for what it could look like to actually put this city on better footing in the years to come. I put forward a plan to build more housing than New York City has seen in any single housing development since the early 70s. Alongside that, I also made clear to the president, as I have before, my continued belief that ICE raids are cruel and inhumane, that they do nothing to advance the cause of public safety. And I gave him and his chief of staff a list of 5 who had been detained in or around Columbia University. And maybe about 30 or so minutes after the meeting, the president called me to say that he made the decision that he was going to release that student who'd been detained that morning.
So you found a way to have a productive relationship with this president, despite your many differences. How would
And so some people get really upset about this one, right? Because there's been a lot of people detained and they expect advocacy for those people. And so they expect the mayor to also advocate for those people. And that's the gist of it. Did I put these things on right? Not used to using headphones. So I
Would
apologize.
you describe that? Is it a partnership? Is it an alliance? What is it?
I think it's a productive relationship between the mayor of this city, the president of this country, and one that is also honest. I want to always be honest with the president and with the public about where those disagreements are, and also that my job is not to litigate the disagreements, but to deliver for the people of New York City.
How often do you two text or talk to each other?
I'll leave that to the two of us, but I'll tell you that that's the focus of that relationship.
Once a week, twice a week? Hotter, colder?
I will keep that between the two of us.
I got to ask you about your family before I let you go, because I think anyone familiar with the specific and what I would say very fortunate experience of being raised.
So, I mean, it's bizarre, right? Thank you for the follow, Haley. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate you. And so, a lot of people get upset with the politics of New York City, but you have to understand the perspectives and the politics of the city to understand that we're a very diverse city. We are a city of over 200 languages. We're the home of the United Nations, right? We're the home of the United Nations. Um, we're the home of so many touristy places. We get people from all over the world visiting us, but we also have people from all over the world living here and also speaking the languages that are spoken around the world. And we have food from around the world, and we have a lot of beautiful things in this city and in this state, right?
By Desi parents, South Asian parents, especially those with the courage and the hope to forge an entirely new life in new nations. You
So we can't get upset
know
about
that
it.
you can learn a lot from them.
Yes.
What have you learned from your parents?
My mother would always tell me, if we don't tell our own stories, no one else will. And she imbued within me the importance of being proud of who you are. And my father also, he taught me so often when you're growing up as a minority in a place.
I thought she was gonna ask him about his wife because they've been attacking him on his wife and his wife's past Twitter account when she was 15 years old. They really went deep to try to find something that they don't agree with, right?
You can grow up also with a sense of almost a chip on your shoulder. With it also comes the ability to see the truth of a place in its entirety, the promise of it, and that which still needs to be worked on. And that was in such a way so freeing to hear as a young person, to understand my place in the world and the responsibility that I had within it, and the fact that it was a gift, not a burden.
Mr. Mayor, it's been such a pleasure to speak with you today. Zohran Mamdani, the mayor of New York City. Thank you for making the time.
Very welcome. Thank you so much.
So, I mean, what do you think, everyone? You think he met the moment? Do you think he met the moment of, he's matured in office? He's definitely matured in office and understands the difficulty of being a mayor in New York, the largest city in the United States, a city that is the financial capital of the world. And a lot of people really attacked him, really said that he was an extremist. And he has turned out not to be an extremist, but to fight for policies that would improve the city and improve the country overall. It's not like he hasn't fought for anything that has been considered extreme or considered radical, right? As much as the press wants to make it seem as he's radical, he hasn't been radical at all, right? He hasn't been radical at all. He's actually been pragmatic and really understanding of how the city works and how politics works within the city. And he's been outperforming a lot of people that have years of experience in New York City politics or are embedded in the fabric of the corruption and the fabric of the system that pounds people down, right? Recently, he decriminalized bicycle um, tickets, bicycle violations. They were giving people criminal summonses. And this was a big criticism that a lot of people had about Mayor Adams, right? Mayor Adams was pretty much giving people criminal summonses for riding their bikes, maybe going through the red light or not walking their bike. He made it criminal offenses where you had to go to court and you had to appear and you had to pay heavy fines. And it was a way to show that the police department was cracking down on crime, right? So getting rid of that and that system of targeting workers and targeting mostly immigrants that had these rideshare jobs like Uber and DoorDash doing deliveries for people. $1,000 fine or $500 fine is um, a steep penalty for people. They had to lose a day of work, and as you know, these people that are riding on bikes, they don't get paid when they're not working. So they will lose a day of work. And on top of that, they had now a criminal record, which could jeopardize their future in the country. Uh, so I'm glad that he fixed that and got rid of that this week. So a lot of people are saying, "Oh, what are his accomplishments? What are his accomplishments?" Right? They keep asking, "What are his accomplishments?" He doesn't have accomplishments, right? That's the argument that people make, right? People make that argument that he doesn't have much accomplishment, but he has had many accomplishments, and so this takes me to Cat, right? Right? Uh, Katsumalides, right? Had a meeting with Donald with he's a friend of Donald Trump, and he said he was gonna give Zohran Mamdani a chance, but they've been going after him in the radio shows. They've been attacking Zohran, and so they've been pretty much attacking Zohran big time, right? And so, what I gotta say, not cool, right? Uh, Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up. So let me do X instead. All right. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So let's switch to this tab. All right. So this was the big meeting that Zohran had this week with John Catsimatidis, right? Billionaire, owner of Gristedes, right? Um, so according to sources, Zoran spoke with real estate. He spoke about real estate regulations, opening them up so he could build more, the World's Fair, and briefly Fidel Castro. These are the things they discussed in the closed door meeting. The details of it are not really public, but they did speak about it, right? And this is what they said when Zoran was first elected. They were having a big fit. It was like sort of like when Bernie Sanders was elected. Um, some of the people started having fits, right, about what would happen if Zoran was elected, right? Remember this? They had a fit on CNBC, right, about what happens if Zoran gets elected into office.
They heard that Lena Khan was joining the transition team.
Which just goes to show you, looking back at the Biden administration. I mean, she had a very important job and we had her on all the time and hung on.
I think we should have her back and talk about what can happen in New York City.
But let's just know. Okay, so as long as we know,
this is Democrats having a fit.
I mean, she is a
sure. No, but that's what I'm saying.
She was running a very important department in the Biden administration.
Well, no, I wonder what it portends for business in New York. It was funny.
It's great for business. It's awesome.
A number of business leaders in New York reached out to me yesterday. I was traveling back from London, and it wasn't even the election result itself. It was when this Lena Khan announcement was made.
Right.
It was like they were sort of like frozen in place.
Yeah.
And talked. I mean, some of the texting and back and forth was more about sort of what had happened to the merger business. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of bankers in this city, financiers in this city, and sort of what the approach is. I don't know if she's going to have a role in the future.
What can she do, though? I mean,
the future group or not?
What my question was, this appears to nationalize a city mayoral staff, right? Instead of saying we're going to operate the city as good managers, which is what the mayor's job is, it somehow makes it seem like we're going to be a platform for some national ideological.
I don't know. I mean, I was also surprised by that there were so many people from the de Blasio administration, of all things, and they were pointing to that as if
they were having a meltdown, right? Supposedly that the rich people were having a meltdown, that they were seeking therapy as a result of Zohran being elected, and then now
the wealthy who might be looking for a therapist after yesterday's election. And more importantly, were looking for therapy when they heard that Lena Khan was joining the transition.
So this was what they were playing. This is what they were talking about. That the rich were scared that Zohran was elected. They tried to do everything they could in their power to try to keep him from being elected. But the people spoke, and instead of respecting the fact that people spoke, they just have a pure meltdown, right? They have a pure meltdown about Zohran. And so I respected that Donald Trump won, right? I knew that he wasn't the best person. I didn't agree with most of the things that Donald Trump was doing, or I knew his track record, and I was worried about the country, and I was worried about everything that was going to happen to everyone. I didn't have a meltdown, but I knew we had to brace ourselves for the economy to come down and for major cataclysmic um, a- activities to happen, because I already knew his history. I already knew what happened during C-19 and how he really messed it up. I already saw uh, January 6th on how bad that was, and I was shocked that people voted for Donald Trump again, knowing his track record of making messes and doing making bad decisions, right? And now a lot of people are kicking themselves and saying, why didn't they stop themselves from voting for Trump again, knowing the his track record? But I was like, let me give him a chance. Let me be quiet. Let me see what he has to say, even though I didn't like that he was elected. Just like people didn't like Zoran being elected, but other people were elated and happy. And but I was upset, right? I was upset um, that Donald Trump was elected. And this is what Donald Trump said about Zoran when he was elected.
Tonight, it was not expected to be a victory. It was very Democrat areas, but I don't think it was good for Republicans. I don't think it was good. I'm not sure it was good for anybody. But we had an interesting evening, and we learned a lot. If you read the pollsters, the shutdown was a big factor, negative for the Republicans, and that was a big factor. And they say that I wasn't on the ballot was the biggest factor. But I don't know about that. But I was honored that they said that. But countless public servants are now not being paid, and the air traffic control system is under increasing strain. We must get the government back open soon, and really immediately. We have to get it up. We have the hottest economy we've ever had, and it's affecting the stock market now a little bit. It's time for Republicans to do what they have to do, and that's terminate the filibuster. It's the only way you can do it. And if you don't terminate the filibuster, you'll be in bad shape. We won't pass any legislation. There'll be no legislation passed for 3.25. We have 3.25 years, so it's a long time.
So this is just the reality
Yesterday,
of what Trump
Donald Trump said that I should be arrested.
Your message to communist Zohran Mamdani.
You will have to arrest him.
He said that I should be deported.
I'm going to be watching over him very carefully on behalf of the nation.
He said that I should be denaturalized. And he said those things about me, someone who stands to be the first immigrant mayor of this city in generations, someone who would also be the first Muslim and the first South Asian mayor in this city's history. Less so because of who I am, because of where I come from, because of how I look or how I speak, and more so because he wants to distract from what I fight for. I fight for working people.
And Mayor Mamdani, would you welcome Prime Minister Netanyahu to New York City for whatever he comes for, given the US is not a signatory to the ICC, so he can travel to the US, unlike a lot of other countries. Would a Mayor Mamdani welcome Benjamin Netanyahu to the city?
No. As mayor, New York City would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. This is a city that our values are in line with international law. It's time that our actions are also.
But then in the end of the day, Zohran and Trump made up, and then they had a meeting in the White House, 2 meetings in the White House, where they decided to work together despite them not getting along. So it brings me back to Zohran interviewing people, right? in the Bronx. Right? That brings me back to those interviews where Zohran interviewed people in the Bronx, and right, he interviewed people and said, in the end of the day, people just wanted to be heard, and that's why they voted for Donald Trump and the affordability agenda. Right? The affordability agenda. That's what people want, right? People want to be able to afford to live in the city that they love, right? Let me see. I'm trying to pull up the interview. I should have had it ready. I should have had the interview ready of Zohran interviewing Trump supporters. And some people thought he was crazy, right? For doing this. But he was just thinking outside the box, right? Then they had this crazy meeting in the White House, and then Zohran interviewed people, right? Remember this? They were in the White House. They had a tense exchange.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist? I've spoken about.
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay.
Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
See? Amazing, right?
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist? I've spoken about.
That's okay. You can just say yes. Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
See? He doesn't mind being called a fascist in his face when Trump has blown up on reporters about the same thing, right? Peculiar, right? Interesting. And that's the nature of politics, that politics makes strange bedfellows, right? Strange bedfellows. Yeah, politics makes strange bedfellows, right? And so let's listen to this. If you haven't seen the video, it was kind of hilarious, right? Kind of hilarious. This was when Zohran was polling like at 0%, at 1%, right? Big difference, right? In the beginning, when he was interviewing Trump supporters, and now, how much people support him. Things have changed, right? He kept pushing hard, and he
affirmative vision.
Why did you not vote?
Because I don't believe in the system anymore.
Brother. Good to see. How you doing,
Anymore.
man?
So did you believe in it at one point?
Yes.
And what caused you to lose faith?
Just the way things been going now. It's hard on people now.
Yo, let's go. How you doing, man?
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
We are praying God. Make a prayer.
I was watching from the beginning. I'm sorry, I thought it was playing.
How's it going, guys? Do you have 60 seconds to talk just about the election? How you guys doing? Do you guys want to talk about the election for a minute? How you doing, boss? How's it going, sir? Excuse me, ma'am. How you doing, boss? Why is it that you don't feel as confident today about Democratic candidates?
Honestly, I lost faith.
It felt like I was just choosing the greater of two evils, and whatever was going to happen was going to happen.
How you doing, boss?
Walter.
Walter, nice to meet you. Walter, did you get a chance to vote on Tuesday?
I didn't vote.
I want all my African people to vote for
Thank you, my brother.
Because I know with you, New York City will change.
Thank you, my brother.
I support you.
1 year ago, we were here talking to New Yorkers after Donald Trump won the presidential election.
Did you get a chance to vote on Tuesday, Devin?
I did, yes.
And who did you vote for?
Donald Trump.
The million-dollar question. Trump.
Honestly, I didn't vote.
Actually, I did not get a chance to vote.
But I didn't want to anyways.
What we're finding today, remember exactly where we were, man? There are far more people excited about the possibility of politics in this city on the same street, where last year there were very few who were looking to have that conversation. Where you going, boss?
Let's go, You got my vote.
How you doing?
Yes, nigga.
Yes.
I'm voting for this guy. You are the best, bro.
Thank you, bro. How are you? It's time for a change. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, man. Oh, thank you, my brother.
Just got my citizenship.
Hey, congratulations! Congratulations! That's amazing.
You're a game changer.
Thank you, my brother.
My bishop first. I voted for him yesterday.
Oh, thank you, brother.
Yeah, this is the mayor, the next mayor.
What we heard from them then was that they were tired of a Democratic Party that thought too little of working class people across this country to offer them an affirmative vision.
Why did you not vote?
Because I don't believe in the system anymore.
Brother. Good to see. How you doing,
Anymore.
man?
So did you believe in it at one point?
Yes.
And what caused you to lose faith?
Just the way things been going now. It's hard on people now.
Yo, let's go. How you doing, man?
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
We are praying God. Make it
Oh.
people expect to you. I
Thank
hope
you.
you help us.
I've been watching you. God bless you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Both of you, be
I
my wife.
Thank you.
Both of you heard.
Thank you.
I'm excited for you to be mayor, and I hope. No, actually, no. I know you're going to become mayor.
Thank you.
I actually want to introduce myself. My name is Zohran Mamdani. I'm going to be running for mayor next year. Wow. Yes, yes, sir. And I'm going to be running on that platform of making sure we keep the rent where it's at for rent-stabilized tenants, of making the buses free, making childcare a reality.
Not
And it's a
taking
pleasure.
voters for granted.
You still
You
gonna
know
see
you're
me.
already going to win, so why are you walking around for?
Come on. Come on. You got to work every day for it. It's New York. Ain't nothing done.
Yeah, so it's not taking, it's always never taking the voters for granted. That's the problem, right? The whole establishment, the whole Democratic establishment has been taking voters for granted for a very long time. You can't take no voters for granted. You always got to appreciate all the people that support you, because people don't have to vote for you. People don't have to vote for you. And so do not support any Zionists. I'm not sure what that means. But me, myself, personally, I don't believe in, I could say I'm a pacifist, right? I don't support any type of humans taking other humans' life. Um, I just don't support that, right? And the method that you're using, even if it's the government, shouldn't be allowed to take people's lives. And so I don't agree with the whole premise that any institution should take anyone's life, right? And I don't support um, uh, any government that should is based on religion. I do believe in the separation of church and state, or separation of religion from the government, right? They should be separate, and there should be freedom of religion and freedom to respect anyone and everyone's ability to be free, right? Obviously, we all have a social contract where we give up some rights in exchange for the state protecting your rights, right? However, unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way, right? Because the state doesn't always protect every individual and has blind spots to treat certain groups as if they're inferior or less than other people, right? Which is not right, and I wouldn't support, right? So all the things that happen in the world right now are craziness, and really wanted to give Donald Trump a chance, right? I really wanted to give him a chance and to do the right thing, to govern the right way, and just like I gave Zohran a chance to govern, um, I gave him a chance to govern, and I'm still giving him a chance to govern. And based on how they do what they got to do, then
Every state
I
in the
will support it,
country,
right?
we say loudly and proudly.
So a lot of people do believe in the populist message. They do believe in what people like Bernie Sanders support, right? Right? They support um, Bernie Sanders and what he has to say, his message. Today he was speaking at the No Kings rally, right? And so we appreciate somebody that stays our message and keeps speaking out against those things that are bad.
Today, here in Minnesota, in Vermont, and in every state in the country, we say loudly and proudly that as Americans, we will never forsake our heritage. We will never accept authoritarianism. We will never accept oligarchy. And we will never accept a president who is a pathological liar, a kleptocrat, and a narcissist who is undermining the Constitution of the United States and the rule of law every day. We will never accept government policy that gives massive tax breaks to billionaires, throws 15 million Americans off the health care they have, breaks unions, denies women the right to control their own bodies, and is pushing the planet closer and closer to a climate crisis.
And so he was there speaking and had a lot to say about the current conditions of the administration and the current things that are happening, right, across the country. Right? There's too much happening across the country, too much controversy, too much not being correct, right? And so let's see on CPAC. CPAC was in town and they had some craziness like always. And so let's listen to how RFK Jr. is saying that
and you know, and business and Wall Street. He knows how everybody made their money and what deals they made. And he tells stories all the time about it. It's just one after the other. And one time during the campaign, I was on the airplane with him, and we were sitting across the table from each other eating McDonald's, drinking Diet Coke. And we started talking about Syria, and he got a placemat, and he turned it on its back, and then he took a Sharpie and he drew a perfect map of the Mideast. And then he put the troop strength of every country on every border.
and supposedly that Donald Trump is a genius. That's what he's claiming. That Donald Trump knows
that map, and it just it challenged a lot of the assumptions that I had been told about him. He has, you know, he has this extraordinary depth of knowledge about what's happening in each one of the agencies, my agency and the others, and you know, and then he has an instinct for making good choices.
Well, I have to say that.
And I would say this. I think, you know, I think my uncle, John Kennedy, understood the uses of power.
Glazing Trump. Trump is very happy every time they glaze him and talk about how much of a genius he is and how much he knows.
I think Donald Trump understands the use of power better than probably any president that we've had, at least since Roosevelt. And
they love it. He loves it.
History.
About he's a genius, right? That's the claim, right? That Donald Trump is a genius. He knows everything about the Middle East. He was able to draw it on a mat, right? That he was able to draw it, the Middle East on a map with all the borders and everything that happens in every country, right? And so supposedly he turned around the placemat and he knew exactly where everything was. And so
Guys, the banner is not unfold right now. We want to make maximum impact, so please move back so the banner can fully be shown.
What do you think about this? What do you think about this, everyone? This is the protest today. They're saying that there was a lot of people across the country, and that Donald Trump is upset about the political will of people, and how there's a chance of the Middle East being decimated by right, the Middle East being decimated, right? Is that possible? I mean, Iran is not going too well, right? Iran, the Middle East right now, it's a big mess. And so the streets of the New York were packed with protesters, right? Packed with protesters. So how does Donald Trump feel that so many people and so this is what we're hearing from the administration, right? We got people like Marco Rubio and RFK Jr. just glazing Donald Trump.
Blockade surrounding Cuba. The reason why Cuba doesn't have oil and fuel is because they want it for free. And people don't give away oil and fuel for free on a regular basis unless it
Wow.
G7, okay?
Listen
Everybody
to
talks about
this.
these blackouts. Cuba's been having blackouts all of last year, all the year before. There isn't a naval blockade surrounding Cuba. The reason why Cuba doesn't have oil and fuel is because they want it for free. And people don't give away oil and fuel for free on a regular basis unless it was the Soviet Union subsidizing them or Maduro subsidizing them. They just don't do it. They may get a shipment here or there now and then someone, but not enough to sustain their country. Okay, so the reason why they're having that's why they don't have fuel. And the reason why they're having blackouts is because they have equipment from the 1950s and 60s that they never maintained or kept up. About it in the G7, okay? Everybody talks about these blackouts. Cuba's been having blackouts all of last year, all the year before. There isn't a naval blockade surrounding Cuba. The reason why Cuba doesn't have oil and fuel is because they want it for free. And people don't give away oil and fuel for free on a regular basis unless it was the Soviet Union subsidizing them or Maduro subsidizing them. They just don't do it. They may get a shipment here or there now and then someone, but not enough to sustain their country. Okay, so the reason why they're having that's why they don't have fuel. And the reason why they're having blackouts is because they have equipment from the 1950s and 60s that they never maintained or kept up. About it in the G7, okay? Everybody talks about these blackouts. Cuba's been having blackouts all of last year, all the year before. There isn't a naval blockade surrounding Cuba. The reason why Cuba doesn't have oil and fuel is because they want it for free. And people don't give away oil and fuel for free on a regular basis unless it was the Soviet Union subsidizing them or Maduro subsidizing them. They just don't do it. They may get a shipment here or there now and then someone, but not enough to sustain their country. Okay, so the reason why they're having that's why they don't have fuel. And the reason why they're having blackouts is because they have equipment from the 1950s and 60s that they never maintained or kept up. About it in the G7, okay? Everybody talks about these blackouts. Cuba's been having.
So it's bizarre and crazy, right? That this is the argument we have from the administration, right? These are the arguments we're having for the administration, right? They don't care, they don't respect the sovereignty of a country, and they just gaslight and create their own narrative create their own script as to what is the truth. And so that's why a lot of people are disappointed. Donald Trump started with a lot of promises. He started with the whole fact that he said that he was going to help lower people's grocery prices. He was going to help with inflation. He was going to bring down the gas prices. He said it, right? He said it with his own mouth, with his own words. And that was his campaign promises. And he also said there was not going to be any new wars at all, right? That was one of his main campaign promises, that we weren't going to spend on these wars. And now here we are into his administration, and he's already doing stuff that he said he wasn't going to do. And his base is still trying to cover up for him, right? His base is still trying to cover up for him, right? His base is still trying to cover up for him. And I don't understand. And I don't understand why they're still trying to cover for him, right? Why? And this was the crazy part, right? That you saw this part, you saw this video, everyone? CPAC, the conservative PAC, right? The Christian PAC, the one that supported Trump. This kind of backfired, right?
How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No. That was the wrong answer. Let me try it again. How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No. Can someone bring some coffee out for the people of CPAC?
I know.
We've got to keep this House majority. How many of you agree with that? How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No. That was the wrong answer. Let me try it again. How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings?
That backfired.
No. Can someone bring some coffee out for the people of CPAC?
I know.
We've got to keep this House majority. How many of you agree with that? How many of
Wow. They couldn't have edited that, right? Take care to you too. And we're not going to talk that way, right? It's Israel, the government, not the people. We're not against the people, okay? We're not against the people. I'm not against the people. And just like I support the American people, but I don't support the decisions they make, right? I don't support the decisions they make. So we can't have hate for a whole group of people based on what their government decides. So this backfired, right? This backfired big time, right? This backfired big time for CPAC, right? Asking people if they feel like Donald Trump should be impeached. And most of the people there agreed. And he's like, get people coffee. There's something wrong. And now he's like, man, I asked the wrong question. So is the conservative base of Donald Trump turning on him? And the polls are not showing it? And they're not showing us the polls? Is CPAC turning on Donald Trump? That's the question. Like the live, hit the follow button. Hit the follow button. Everyone, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button. on Facebook, Twitch, on Instagram, and on Substack. Thank you. I appreciate it. For all the people watching, the most important thing is always supporting, and I appreciate all of your support. And that's what's important, right, to me. I thought this was crazy. And Donald Trump himself was going to show up to CPAC, and he canceled, right? Because they knew that he was going to get booed. It would be embarrassing if he would have showed up and he would have gotten booed, right? Imagine he would have gotten booed, right? Imagine he would have gotten booed on the stage that supported him, right? Some of his biggest organizers. And so did Donald Trump show up, or at least do a video message? I'm not sure. This was Chicago. More than 100,000 people showed up to protest in Chicago. You know what that means? The right politician, 100,000 people door knocking, 100,000 people trying to get their family members, right? 100,000 people that could turn the whole city around, right? 100,000 people that can change that city, that is fed up with the political establishment, that's fed up with the big money interests, that is willing to be out in the street to voice their concerns, right? And in New York, it was a big crowd too. In every city, every state, there was a big crowd of people. And there's no denying that people are hitting that frustration point where they wanna show their frustration, and Donald Trump really has to and so now they are attacking Hassan Piker, right? Because he said something they didn't like, right? Hassan Piker, they've been attacking him big time, and now he says something that they didn't like, and so
and there were a lot of
Yeah, I
people.
noticed that too.
But I do see it as somewhat of a pressure. Always interesting to me is the demographics. It's always like older, somewhat, well-to-do white liberals that are primarily attending these sorts of movements. It's very diverse. It's much more diverse this time around. And there were a lot of people.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
But I do see it as somewhat of a pressure valve where, like, clearly people are frustrated and they just don't really know what to do. And that is born out of the fact that the options, the more productive, historically, the more productive forces of pressure have been totally eradicated in this country. And I'm, of course, talking about like labor militancy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why there's no political education to be able to properly express these desires, and there's no real like pressure point that they can lean into that revolves around organizing. So we just kind of walk around the street a little bit, bang some drums, and feel a little bit better about ourselves. Now, to say all of that doesn't mean that this is utterly unproductive. I'm not criticizing it at all. I think it's always great when people go outside and show that they have the numbers and show this administration that is somewhat responsive to big crowd sizes, as we know, that there are a lot of people who hate them. So it was good.
It was good, but what he saw, he didn't see a lot of diversity. It was a lot more diverse than it's been, and it's like, how do we engage and get the BIPOC community, the minority community, to come out and believe in politics again when they've been burned by so many people, right? That way they've been burned with by so many people, by so many politicians that claim that they're gonna help them, and then at the end of the day, they help their donors and they help the rich um, more than they help them, right? And so this is the situation. That's why um, a lot of people are turning on Trump because he broke a lot of his promises, right? He broke a lot of the promises, and so um, Bernie Sanders did his thing, and unfortunately, the story behind the Bernie Sanders is bizarre, right? There was always accusations that the Democratic National Committee, the DNC, felt that Hillary Clinton would be able to face and beat Donald Trump, right? So they set it up as a matchup and they propelled and donated money and helped Donald Trump to um, to be able to run against Hillary, right? And they pretty much blocked the superdelegates, blocked Bernie Sanders' run for being president in 2016. And they propped up Donald Trump, boosted him because they thought that Donald Trump would be easier to defeat. They saw him as a whack job, as somebody that couldn't win and didn't have no chances of winning. So you could thank your Democratic Party for creating Donald Trump. And people don't want to hear that, but it's the truth, right? And there comes Bernie Sanders still fighting. Imagine we'd have Bernie Sanders as president.
There are a lot of people here. Thank you.
And Bernie hasn't stopped speaking the truth and criticizing the Democratic Party. He even quit the Democratic Party and said that we're just heading in the Democratic Party just heading in the wrong direction, right? It's full time heading in the wrong direction. It's not protecting regular people. It's not protecting voters, and it's not defending the average person, right? Um, and so the biggest mistake that the Democratic Party ever did was turn on Bernie Sanders and push him out of the party. Because if he would have been president, we probably would have not had all the major issues we have now. We would have not, we will be in a different place. We probably wouldn't be in Iran right now. Um, we will be in a lot better place than where we are now, right? And So right now the issue is that Congress doesn't care, right? Um, Government shutdown delays airport lines as Congress recesses. A partial government shutdown hit DHS agencies, including TSA, leaving frontline officers unpaid at salaries around 45,000 to 55,000. Mind you, they gave um, they pretty much gave ICE agents $50,000 bonuses for signing on. That will pay a whole year's salary of a TSA agent, right? A whole year's salary of a TSA agent. And and Congress adjourned for 2 weeks after the House rejected a Senate compromise that funded TSA through May, but skipped key immigration staffing, prompting President Trump to sign a memorandum to retroactive TSA pay. Republicans pushed for full DHA funding with border security, while Democrats accused them of blocking um, 11 targeted pay bills. ICE agents helped with lines but faced backlash as deportation slowed, right? So, and this is AOC, right? AOC let them know that they blocked it for a 11th time, right? So, that's just the issue, right? Man, I lost the post. Oh, it's right here. Um, so this is what AOC posted, right? This is what AOC posted on her page. Um, uh, United States Committee on Appropriations. Senate Republicans on 325-26. Senate Republicans blocked TSA pay for the 11th time. Senate Republicans have now blocked TSA pay 11 times and blocked bills to fund TSA, FEMA, CISA, and Coast Guard 14 times in total. So they claim that they want to fix it, and uh, and then she has trolls, right? She has trolls that are saying, why is it AOC that we don't believe a word you're saying and we don't care? And as a matter of fact, your Democrat senators voted 13 times no. So don't even go there. Nice try. Nobody cares how you go home from the bar. Trump and Mullen already paid TSA because you are all winning through your jobs. So this was Donald Trump's tweet on Truth Social, right? This was Trump's tweet on Truth Social. Um, the radical left Democrats and their leader, crying Chuck Schumer, have made it very clear where they stand, and that is on the side of criminal illegal aliens and not the American people. They are refusing to fund immigration enforcement unless the Republicans agree to their open border policies, which will never ever happen again. They almost destroyed our country, allowing 25 million people to enter from prison, mental institutions, and insane asylums. Those that are drug dealers and thousands of murderers, many of whom killed more than one person. Because the Democrats have recklessly created a true national crisis, I'm using my authorities under the law to protect our great country, as I always will do. Therefore, I'm going to sign an order instructing the Secretary of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne Mullen, to immediately pay our TSA agents in order to address the emergency situation and to quickly stop the Democratic chaos at the airport. It is not an easy thing to do, but I'm going to do it. I want to thank our hardworking TSA agents and also ICE for the incredible help they have given us at the airport. I will not allow the radical left Democrats to hold our country hostage any longer. Thank you for your attention to the matter, President Donald J. Trump. So it makes me wonder why you didn't pay them sooner, right? Right? Why didn't he pay them sooner if it was such a national emergency? You wait till it's a mess and it's before the holidays, right?
America is the greatest country on earth, but tell me if this sounds great. More children are gunned down in our nation than any other country. More people declare.
Right? So think about it. Think about it, people. Is this what you voted for? Is this what you support? Is this what you feel is the best thing for our country? Think about it. Be honest. Hit the follow button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Substack, and TikTok, right? Sign up for the channel. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today on Saturday. Trying to stay on a little bit longer before I lose my voice, right? And let's just keep monitoring the craziness of the politics happening right now, where Congress is leaving for Easter break. Right? And then this is people that just dox them. Oh man. They just taking pictures of them, like being in first class. Like, and then they say, nice try. AOC said, she responded. Oh man. They try to dox them, right? They try to dox AOC and said that they have a picture of them. But these are old pictures, right? And so she was like, they try to dox her. And so they try to show a picture of AOC and Bernie Sanders supposedly taking a plane home and first class. And they say, nice try. I took the Amtrak home. We try to pay TSA almost a dozen times, and Republicans said no every time. Then the GOP speaker closed session last night and sent everyone home. Please Google what party is in charge of Congress right now. The answer might surprise you, right? And so now I just got an alert that there were clashes with federal officers. I'm not sure where, but I'll look it up but now clashes have been reported um, around federal facilities after the No Kings protests. Um, I'll look it up. And then they showed a picture of Shaq, right? How AOC dunked on her haters. How AOC dunked on her haters, right? Because they just hating on her just for being AOC. Who's in charge right now? Republicans are in charge. They keep trying to make it seem like the Democrats are the ones that are in charge, but it's not the Democrats. The Democrats are not in charge. So as much as they want to argue that the Democrats could have avoided it, the Republicans have the majority. So as much as they want to blame any shutdowns, so let's see what AOC had to say.
Of Americans across the country. So if we're willing to take the differences, put those in one bucket and pay our TSA workers, I think, we proposed that. Donald Trump had previously rejected it. If they're coming around on it, I think we're all ears. But does this of the good agencies, the good work that happens at a lot of these agencies, where we drew the line was on ICE and CBP, particularly as they are violating the civil liberties of Americans across the country. So if we're willing to take the differences, put those in one bucket and pay our TSA workers, I think, we proposed that. Donald Trump had previously rejected it. If they're coming around on it, I think we're all ears. But does this...
So some people are open. They're saying that maybe AOC should be the majority leader if they win, right? If they win, some people are saying that AOC is communicating a lot better than most of the Democratic leadership, which people are still trying to find. They just are not responding that well, right? They're just not responding that well to the people. And instead, Mike Johnson, he, instead of trying to work out the deal, he feels like there's no deal able to be made. And so oh man, they just can't stop with Hassan Piker, right? They're saying that Hassan Piker allowed an elderly lady to school him and to take away his interview. These accounts are crazy, right? Right? I watched his stream, and so this.
I'm just a random guy. I'm a political commentator. How do you on Twitch? It's a website. You're on it now too.
Oh, okay. And you're also at CNN.com.
And you're also on CNN. Love you too. Thank you for being here.
Why did you show up today? Why did you come here today?
Because I think he's a prick. Okay. Do you think that the Democratic Party meeting the moment?
No.
I was about to ask the same question. You don't think so?
The Democratic Party is meeting the moment?
Yeah.
No.
How do you like Zohran Mamdani?
I love him.
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
Talk
Nice
you
to meet you.
too. Okay. I'll have to look out for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. Oh, never mind.
I did want to. Can I take a picture of my mom with you?
Sure.
She's a huge fan. All right.
So that's the meme. They're saying that Zohran and Hassan. So they're saying that basically the Democratic Party has a Hassan Piker problem. They have to decide what side to be on. So are they going to be on the side of the people, or obviously, or are they going to be on the side of the big money interests, right? Right. So I mean, so I don't understand why so much hate for people like this, right? Why? Why are they so angry? Right? So I'll leave Hassan alone for now, right? And so they rather leave TSA agents without pay. And Donald Trump said he fixed it, right? He's saying he fixed it. And so and this is what TMC did. They pretty much called for congressional people videos, right? Videos of congressional people.
We want to show what they are doing at your expense. And we want everybody to hear that. And we are waiting for those pictures. Want to talk to everybody in our audience right now that if anybody goes to Disney World with their family for spring break, or goes to a beach somewhere, or anywhere on vacation, and you see one of the 535 members of Congress, take a picture and send it to us at TMZ. We will post that picture on our website, on our social media, and we will put it on our television shows. We want to show what they are doing at your expense. And we want everybody to hear that. And we are waiting for those pictures. Want to talk to everybody in our audience right now.
So it's like even non-political shows are turning political, right? Non-political shows are turning political because of this whole, ideological divide, or the ideological split, right? That people have, right? It's just an ideological, right? So this is so let's hear a little bit more of AOC.
Constituents in their community, whether it's you calling them, please call them, it's effective, or whether people calling their members of Congress in deeper to respond to these issues, to conduct oversight on facility. Their positions do evolve and change. When I first got elected, I was one of the only members of Congress that talked about abolishing ICE. There was like literally almost none of us. You had Ayanna Pressley, you had Ilhan Omar, you had Rashida Tlaib, you had a couple of other people in the Progressive Caucus, but we were tarred and feathered for this. Out of hundreds of people, hundreds of Democrats, we were like literally labeled an enemy for talking about this. And now things are very different because of that. And I have also seen the opposite.
So
is I have seen that when members of Congress are drawn more by their constituents in their community, whether it's you calling them, please call them, it's effective, or whether people calling their members of Congress.
So, do you agree with AOC and her approach? Do you agree with her approach? It's like Zohran, AOC, Bernie Sanders, try to be populist, right? Try to be with the people, try to support the people, and that's what attracts people. But the majority of politicians side with the big money interests. And why did they allow the TSA agents not to be paid? Is because they're not big on worker issues. They're not big on regular people. They don't have the political clout of CPAC or the political clout of APAC or any other major donor that they would not allow that to happen, right? They make sure they pay their contractors and they pay the defense contracts on time, and no one questions the big money in politics except for regular people, right? And so let's hear a little bit about the Iran war and what's happening, just a little bit before I sign off. I would just wanted to cover a little bit of local politics. Oh, and before I forget, I wanted to show two politicians that I do support. AOC, I got kind of cold on her a little bit for supporting people that take lobbyist money. But, she has done a good job as a politician. Another person that I think has been speaking out very well is for Congress at least is I like Claire Valdez. I also like Chuck Park for Queens. I think he's doing a good job.
Just look in the back of any restaurant, in front of any taxi. We open the gates in the morning. Queens runs this city. Just look in the back of any restaurant, in front of any taxi. We open the gates in the morning, close the registers at night. And there's an unspoken promise here that no matter where you come from, how much you've got in your pocket, work hard, and the world is yours. But that promise is under attack.
The number of warrantless arrests in just the past streets of New York City.
enacted big bill
Has nothing to do with Project 2025. Overhaul of the federal
There's an America I believe in, and I came home to fight for it. My name is Chuck Park, and I'm running for Congress. Because I know how hard we work, how big we dream, how much we love our home. My story is our story. My story is Queens. And it's time to bring the power back where it belongs, to the people. For our families, for universal health care, universal child care, for working people, safe streets, good transit, for that promise. Queens is the future. And I'm running for Congress to fight for it.
See? Powerful message. And they've been trying to block him from winning. They've been trying to block him from being supported because of his message of his whole message, right? They've been blocking him and his message, but I support his platform, right? There comes. All right. This one drives me a little crazy. Let me see. Give me 1 minute. So that's one politician I support. I support Zohran. And let me just go into a little bit of this interview. And I skipped. He met with, remember I said earlier that John Catsimatidis met with Zohran privately. and then he was on New York One.
In Washington with the president. So I jokingly called up the mayor and I said, well, I got to make a decision. Do I come to yours or do I go to the dinner? And I ended up, I skipped the dinner on Wednesday night, some congressional dinner. And I went to City Hall and we spent 45 minutes together. And I enjoyed meeting him. I'm a Brooklyn Tech guy. He is a Bronx science guy. So how do you say it in Brooklyn? We kibitz about that. That Bronx science and Brooklyn Tech, we were always competitors, along with Stuyvesant. And I told him about the fact that me and Len Riggio, God rest his soul, we raised the $10 million originally for Brooklyn Tech. First time ever for a public high school. And then we went on to talk about, and he was he didn't realize that. And then Bronx Science followed, and I think Stuyvesant followed. And I think Brooklyn Tech, I think we're up to 20 million now.
So what was the mayor like in person from your perspective? Because you were obviously been very critical of him. Did he charm you in person?
I fought the war. I had my mission. I failed. And we joked about that. I said, look, but I enjoyed meeting him. He has a great smile, and he has a great personality. Look, what is the real Zohran Mamdani? I don't know. I'm hoping. I'll tell you what I said to him. I said to him you're a smart guy. You went to Bronx Science. You have a choice. You're on the edge of disaster, or you're at the edge of success. And if the S&P and all the other rating companies and the bonds put you on the crap list. See, I didn't say the other four-letter word. I'm not allowed to say that. It puts you on the crap list, then we could be at the edge of disaster for New York City. With President Trump, I said to him, President Trump, my opinion, will give you all the money you need for affordable housing. And we talked about affordable housing. And I said to him at one point that when I was running for mayor in 2013, and we had a long discussion about that, I wanted affordable housing for the NYPD, the FDNY. Why? I want the cops living in my building. I want the cops and fire department living in the 5 boroughs. I don't want them to be 60 miles away. This is not right. I want them here. And I think that's very important. We had a discussion about that. We just finished building the tallest building.
So, I mean, this is a billionaire talking good about Zohran, right? Speaking good about Zohran. This is the styles we talk about. Bernie Sanders, AOC, Zohran Mamdani. Donald Trump had those qualities, but then he started to betray his base and started to not do the right thing and started to be a warmonger and started to cave to those special interests that had been trying to manipulate him for a very long time. And we could argue he's been constantly caving to those special interests, but not so blatantly. Now at this point, he feels like he could just do it and just blatantly do whatever he does without having to hide it from anyone. And that's the whole issue. He feels like he could just do as he pleases and no one can challenge his point of view or his perspective as the president of the United States, right? And so that's when people start going the wrong way, right? That's why they say that Donald Trump is fascist and has elements of fascism because he does things and he doesn't consult with anyone. He just does things however he feels like doing them. And so this is a close friend of Donald Trump, and Cassimatidis has been around in New York City politics for a very long time, even though he's a billionaire. And so
in St. Petersburg, Florida, we spent $400 million on it. And it's beautiful. And we're going to build a second tower. I said, right now, we're on so many restrictions on building in New York City. You could only build 99 apartments in a building. I mean, give me a break, before you go into into great bigger numbers. And we talked about my relationship with the Yankees and our stadium in Staten Island. We talked about Gristedes, and I wanted to help. I said, the only thing I'm going to charge you to give you a consulting on the food business is, and there's nobody knows it better than I do. I've been in it for 54 years. Is I'll charge me a cup of coffee, but he only gave me a cup of water. So he says to me, next time we meet, I'm going to upgrade you to a cup of coffee instead of a cup of water.
So let me ask you this: obviously you were a very vocal opponent of Mamdani during the campaign season, during the election last year.
We fired every bullet.
But you talked about closing or selling your stores and relocating, but you're still here, right?
I love New York.
But has he performed better as a mayor than you expected?
Right now it's his decision. He has the ability to make.
So he's actually giving Zohran a chance. But is he a good actor? I'm not sure if I could say that. I don't think he's a good actor. I think like any person, he has contradictions. Just like we all have contradictions. That's why we have people that will vote for Bernie Sanders and will vote for Trump. There's people that will vote for AOC and will vote for Bernie Sanders. People have contradictions within themselves and have different views. And that's why I want people to understand about politics, is that people have different views about different things, right? That's all. Right? Different views on different things. So let's see. So it was just an interesting interview, right? So this is another politician that I support a little bit more. Chuck Park was one of them, and Albert Kava.
Everybody smile for Eid Mubarak! Eid Mubarak! I'm here in Jackson Heights celebrating Chandra. It's the night before Eid. We're celebrating the new moon. The streets are full of people from our community. People are buying sweets. People are buying chai. They're celebrating. They're getting ready for Eid. They're buying new clothes. And it's just this beautiful celebration that we get to have every single year where our community comes together. Our community doesn't just come together to celebrate, our community also comes together to fight for and protect each other. When I am in Senate next year in January, I'm going to be out here fighting for our community. We're going to fight to pass New York for All to protect immigrant communities in this district. I'm going to be fighting to tax the rich so that everybody in this community, while they're celebrating, is also celebrating having a dignified, affordable life. And we're going into the state Senate to fight for Palestinian liberation because that is an issue that everybody in this community cares about. We are in Queens. This is the world's borough. We're here to fight for each other and fight for the world. Thank you, Queens, for coming out to celebrate. And make sure to come out on June 23rd. Vote for me. And make sure to come out on June 23rd so that we can celebrate again together.
Vote for Amin! Vote for Amin! Vote for Amin!
So a beer is another one that I support because it's like, for me, it's about the fire you have, right? The fire you have, and you coming off as a genuine person, not caring about the wrong things, but actually caring about the issues that affect the community, right? Not just wanting to be a politician, but wanting to be, or a celebrity, but actually wanting to address the issues that affect everyone across the community in every part of the city, but not in but in their district, right? So even though they're not part of my district, I support them because it's something that I feel right. And so this is another person I support. Trying to play her video. Right. Let me see. It'll work. This is another politician I support. Clay Valdez has a very good, powerful message.
Just save money.
Todo lo que es herramientas, maletas, todo lo que hacemos.
My rent went up 500. My name is Phil. I'm a truck driver for UPS.
Mi nombre es Pedro.
My name is Helen. I work in reproductive rights.
It's been hard to save money.
Todo lo que es herramientas, maletas, todo lo que hacemos.
My rent went up $500 a month overnight.
I've talked about it myself, about whether you could have kids at all, purely in terms of how much money it would cost.
Workers deserve it all. Not scraps, not promises, not someday, but now. The housing crisis, the healthcare crisis, the crisis of workers' rights. It isn't a personal failure by any individual. It's the success of a system designed to extract from working people while protecting the wealth and power of the billionaire class. It's a system that blankets the country in AI data centers instead of creating good-paying jobs. A system that ushered in union-busting Reaganism to pave the way for Donald Trump's fascism. A system that's I'm running for Congress. Because deserving it all means fighting for it all. Housing for all, because in the wealthiest city, in the wealthiest country, one job should be more than enough to make rent. Medicare for all, because insurance and big pharma cartels should not control our economy. Unions for all, because as a union organizer, I believe you should be defined for the life you're meant to live, not the rights you're being stripped of. We will usher in a golden age of organized labor to battle back the new Gilded Age that is upon us. Our solidarity doesn't stop at the shop floor or border. It means standing with Puerto Rico against colonial exploitation. It means opposing apartheid and genocide in Palestine. It means rejecting violent regime change in Venezuela while elites mine for oil. This year, Democrats across the country will take on MAGA fascists to win back the majority. But it is this district that will decide what that majority fights for. Everywhere, it's the same fight. Workers against a rigged system, protecting the wealth and power of the billionaire class. Those being pushed to the margins versus a belief that no one should be left behind. This campaign is about building power together. No worker, no organizer, no mayor can do it all alone. This campaign is a child of a movement. We will fight and campaign and grow and govern together. When workers organize, we don't just ask for justice. We demand it, and we win it. I'm Assemblymember Claire Valdez, a union organizer and democratic socialist running for Congress.
See, powerful ads, powerful people that only take small donations from, they don't take no big donations, or they don't take any money from big organizations. And there was an interesting video I saw of another candidate in Harlem. Let's see. Conrad Blackburn, which I found interesting. These are DSA candidates, Democratic Socialists of America candidates, right? And so
the pressure. Rent goes up, working class people move out, small businesses close down. Year after year, Harlem looks less like Harlem. How can we expect anything to change when you got a whole class of politicians who never felt the pressure a day in their life? Your landlords don't just own your home, but they can't buy me, and we ain't gonna let them sell Harlem. My name is Conrad Blackburn. I was born under pressure. I lived in the projects. My mom hustled hard. Cops pressed me and harassed me just for being alive. That's why I became a public defender, to give my people the same quality of defense that rich people get. As a public defender in the Bronx, I won impossible wins by refusing to take no for an answer. I organized New York City Council to pass a law that abolishes solitary confinement in New York City jails. Now I'm running.
So this is another guy that's interesting. He's running a solid campaign. If you know of any other campaigns that are solid, send it to me. I appreciate it, because I can't be everywhere. But these are some solid campaigns that I've seen. Kind of kicked myself out, right? I kicked myself out. Sorry. So these are some solid campaigns that I found that are really good campaigns so far. They've been running them very well. AOC's campaign I support her. I just didn't like some of her endorsements in my area, endorsing people that so some people that take big money. She doesn't take big money, but she supported, endorse people that do take big money. So this is another campaign ad.
A vote that isn't bought by Wall Street or lobbyists. A vote. The cynics will tell you one vote doesn't change anything. But what they don't tell you is that nothing can change without a vote. A vote that isn't bought by Wall Street or lobbyists. A vote for guaranteed health care for every American. A vote to stand for our reproductive freedom and our civil rights. A vote to fight for a New York we can actually afford. You see, people like us were never supposed to run for office. And according to the cynics, we were definitely not supposed to win. But change isn't up to the cynics. It's up to us.
So this is some of the people I support in New York. There'll be more, but there'll be more. Just I need people that don't take money from big corporations, APAC, PACs in general, lobbyist money. There's not that many politicians that do that, right? Some of them will smile in your face, and when you look up their finances, they take money from every single person that you don't wouldn't want to take money from, right? They take all types of money from all types of um, politicians and from places that you wouldn't even they're going to be influenced already from the beginning. They're going to be influenced and they're going to betray you even before they even take office, right? You know that they just going to betray you, period, right? And so you don't want to be betrayed. So you want people that are actually going to fight for you tooth and nail. And so tomorrow is going to be the big rally. Um, uh, Tomorrow is going to be a big rally in the Bronx. Tax the rich rally, right? And people get upset. And this is going to be tomorrow. Live on Twitch. Tax the rich rally in the Bronx with Bernie Sanders, right? New York City Democratic Socialists of America, Tax the Rich rally in the Bronx with Bernie Sanders. Hassan Piker will be on there live. And so I appreciate all of you coming through. Man. So this is Loomer going crazy. I'll respond to her later. She says that Hassan Piker is gonna have a rally in Brooklyn. Um, so I don't understand. So this is gonna be interesting, right? Oh, I forgot to put it up, but he's actually gonna be Hassan Piker is gonna be streaming on Twitch. The Tax the Rich rally, and already the right wingers are having a fit about it, right? They're having a total fit about it. But that's fine. Let them have their fit. We have our fit. We can have our fit. They can have their fit. It's all good, right? I'll see you tomorrow at the rally. I appreciate you all. And thank you for joining me on this live broadcast. I can't keep up with Hassan, though. Can't do 4 hours like Hassan can, right? He's doing 4 hours, 8 hours every day of streaming. I'll build myself up to that level, but as of right now, I'm not that good. But I appreciate you all. Thank you for joining me. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the Facebook button. Hit the follow button on YouTube. Hit the follow button, subscribe button. Hit the likes, and also share your opinions. We gotta break this algorithm. Twitch, Instagram, and Substack. The more you sign up, the more people you share it with, will break this algorithm to get this to be more popular than it is right now. I appreciate you all for joining me. And in closing, why would someone that supports Zohran, supports Bernie Sanders, supports AOC, would support Trump, right? I think people need direction. They want to feel heard. They want to be not just ignored, but they want people to listen to their point of view. They want people to listen to what they have to say overall, right? No one wants to be ignored or seen as unimportant, right? Not even Donald Trump's base. They want to be seen as they're important. Even his fans, they want to be seen as unreplaceable. Everyone hit the like button also on TikTok. Hit the like button. I appreciate you all for joining me. And I'm going to see you tomorrow. Taxing the rich. Supporting taxing the rich. Even if the algorithm doesn't like it. But we're going to tax the rich thanks to you, the viewers. We all need our base. And I want you to become my base of supporters. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a good night. Take care of yourself. Okay, bye.